What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. We got some big news from Senator Kyrsten Sinema about the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Also, the jobs numbers are in, and it's crazy here as well. And China has suspended cooperation with the US on a range of new issues and sanctions Nancy Pelosi over her Taiwan trip. Yeah, places new sanctions on her. Things are really getting heated between China and the US now. A lot of people are saying that this is just China's excuse to escalate things. Here's what Nancy Pelosi has to say as she's in Tokyo. Check this out.
You may be more interested in, again, what the Chinese did while we were traveling. And we have said from the start that our representation here is not about changing the status quo here in Asia, changing status quo in Taiwan. It's about, again, the Taiwan Relations Act, the U.S.-China policy, all of the pieces of legislation and agreements that have established what our relationship is, to have peace in the Taiwan Straits and to have the status quo prevail. They may try to keep Taiwan from visiting or participating in other places, but they will not isolate Taiwan by preventing us to travel there. We've had high-level visits, senators in the spring, a bipartisan way, continuing visits, and we will not allow them to isolate Taiwan.
Here is footage of the missiles that China fired near Taiwan in the Taiwan Strait right after Nancy Pelosi left as a warning message. Check this out.
The Chinese have actually gone about and moved their forces in and around Taiwan. That really speaks volumes, I think, to what they're trying to do. They're in essence telegraphing their signals. They're sending us a way of perhaps future moves that they're planning, and that's one of the key things that I think we need to watch out for.
Yeah, the National Security Council spokesman, Admiral John Kirby, had a lot to say on this earlier. Let's have a listen to just some of it.
China has chosen to overreact and use the speaker's visit as a pretext to increase provocative military activity in and around the Taiwan Strait. We anticipated that China might take steps like this. We also expect that these actions will continue.
Would you agree, Cedric, that the Chinese reaction militarily could be about more than just Nancy Pelosi's visit, preparations for something else down the line?
I think that's exactly what's happening, Michael. What we're seeing here is the Pelosi visit was really a precursor and an excuse for the Chinese to do what they're doing. But they were obviously ready and waiting to do something like this. The fact that they've mounted their exercises and moved forces into those areas all around Taiwan, and that really indicates that this has been something that the People's Liberation Army has been planning for a long, long time. And I think what it shows is, number one, they have the means and the possibility of blockading Taiwan. And number two, it could also serve as a jumping off point for them to actually invade at least parts of the island.
Now, here's the thing, is this is kind of how the war between Russia and Ukraine started as well. Remember that Russia puts over 100,000 troops on the border, and then we've seen what happened. Remember, a lot of people thought that, Russia won't attack Ukraine. They're just putting 100,000 troops on the border. And remember all the people saying, they're not going to attack. And remember, I was just, being a realist here, I was thinking, why would they put 100,000 troops on the border if they're not going to attack? And they kept moving more and more and more. And then look at what's happened. Here we are, months and months and months, and they're still going forward with this. So Um, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen now, because just looking at this realistically, I don't think that that's what we're seeing yet. But could this be the start of something? Maybe. I don't know. Not It's too early to tell yet. But I mean, you could see that they had military equipment and missiles ready to go, literally. Um, just kind of looking for an excuse here. So you can let me know your thoughts here. They've been wanting to take over Taiwan for a long time, a long time. Nancy Pelosi just traveling there is really just a ridiculous reason, because we've had multiple senators travel there, even this year. Okay, so you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments, but I don't know. We'll see. The new job numbers came out today for July. You can see here the economy adds a whopping 528,000 jobs for the United States here in July alone, shattering expectations. Yeah, you can see here another headline from a Business Insider. The U.S. adds 528,000 jobs in July, showing a booming labor market despite recession fears. This actually lowers the unemployment rate now down to 3.5%. So we've gone back down. We were at 3.6% for a while. We're now back down to 3.5%, which we briefly touched, and that is the 50-year low of unemployment. However, this is a double-edged sword, because as you can see here, the Fed rate hikes are expected to become potentially more aggressive after the strong jobs report. And again, yeah, I'm just kind of reporting to you guys what's going on here. The stock market falls despite strong jobs report, as investors fear bigger Fed rate hikes now in the future. So this is part of a heating economy, and many people fear that the economy is overheating, and that is contributing to inflation. It's an overheating economy. So this is where we're in that double-edged sword economy right now. We see that K-shaped economy. A lot of people are forced to go back to work. A lot of people are forced to take double jobs right now, and because of inflation. Inflation is so high right now that a lot of people are having to come out of retirement. A lot of people are forced to get second jobs right now because of how high inflation is. We're going to be getting the July inflation numbers here in a few days. We'll go over that here when we get those. Those are really important for tens of millions of people as well, because those are the first of the three inflation reports that are going to contribute to the 2023 COLA number for Social Security raises. Okay, for Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA, RRB, survivors, everybody underneath the Social Security umbrella. Okay, it's for the third quarter of each year, so July, August, and September. So we're going to be getting the July numbers here soon. You can let me know your thoughts. Do you think they're going to be higher than last month? Do you think they're going to go down a little bit? Gas prices have come down, but it's hard to tell. We've had gas prices come down now for about 51 days in a row. And yeah, we'll have to see here. But the problem is that the interest rates are going to continue to go up. And yeah, so the problem is that with more people going back to work, that's another sign of an inflating, overheating economy with unemployment being low. It's a strange economy. We have not really seen an economy like this in recent years, where normally in a recession we would have unemployment going up and the Fed would be lowering interest rates. In this case, we have unemployment going down and the Fed raising interest rates because of inflation. And people are going back to work to try to keep up with inflation, or people taking second jobs to try to keep up with inflation. And yet there's a millions of extra jobs available. It's a really strange economy. It's not like any of the last several recessions that we had. And now that interest rates are going up so high, mortgage rates are higher, credit card interest rates are higher, car interest rates are higher. Any type of interest rate is higher. Personal loans are going to be higher. Every single type of interest rate is going to be higher and continue to go higher. We're going to probably see another 2 or more interest rate hikes this year alone, and possibly even more next year. Yeah, and the interest rates could continue to be strong interest rate hikes because of just the inflation and the strong jobs numbers as well. So that's another number to keep an eye on, because if those are really strong numbers, that's another sign of an overheated economy, believe it or not. Yeah, so we also got word here today of Senator Kyrsten Sinema has agreed to the a version, we'll have to see what comes down here, of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, what the Democrats are going to use at least one card or one process to vote on for a reconciliation passage here. I'll show you. Senator Kyrsten Sinema announces a deal with Senator Chuck Schumer on taxes and climate. Yeah, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, Democrat from Arizona, she's pretty unpopular in her state, though. We'll have to see what happens with her. Announced that she has reached a deal with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer that could pave the way for Democrats to pass their budget reconciliation package. We'll have to see if this raises her popularity rate or not. The deal would remove a provision closing the so-called carried interest loophole from the package announced last week by Schumer and Senator Joe Manchin. It would remove a provision closing the so-called carried interest loophole. Sinema said that she and Schumer has also reached agreement on protecting manufacturing from the impact of a proposed 15% corporate minimum tax, which business leaders in Arizona warned would dampen economic growth. So, on one end, this is where you could kind of put me on a debate team and I could see either side of the equation here. On one end, manufacturing, it really depends on what you can label yourself here as manufacturing. It's just the thing is Amazon, a corporation like Amazon, could say that they could probably label themselves as manufacturing because somewhere inside Amazon, they probably manufacture some stuff, right? So could Amazon use this as a loophole to get away from paying a minimum corporation tax? You think about major large corporations like Nike, GE, Fortune 500 corporations, they probably all somewhere manufacture something. So this is where it kind of gets, just thinking as a business person, I've been a business person since I was 18. This is where loopholes get tricky, right? If you're a full-blown manufacturing company, I could see the other side of the story where like this could stifle manufacturing here in the United States. But on the other hand, if you're paying less than 15% taxes already, you go back to that argument, are you paying your fair share? If you're paying 0 taxes, if you're paying 3% taxes, if you're paying 5% taxes, I mean, regular people are paying more taxes than the corporation. Is it fair for and remember, this minimum tax, by the way, this is where we got to clarify things so everybody here is getting the same information. This 15% corporate minimum tax only applies to corporations making more than $1 billion in profit. Okay, so that's where we got to level the playing field here so everybody's on the same information here. So do corporations that are already making over $1 billion, do they need this loophole that if they're a manufacturing corporation, that they can not even pay 15% taxes? You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments, But nonetheless, if Kyrsten Sinema is going to demand this, this is going to stick, because without her vote and without Joe Manchin's vote, it won't pass, because no Republicans are going to vote for this, no matter what's in the bill. We've actually had like some Republican Treasury secretaries, Hank Paulson, uh, a lot of people are that are actually looking at the bill are saying, well, this is a pretty decent bill. Hank Paulson, who was the Treasury Secretary to George Bush, even signed on to and backs it. But the thing is, it's less than $1 trillion. So it's a significantly different bill. And even Joe Manchin says it's going to help production for oil and oil production and green energy. So it's kind of both here. There's a lot of different things in the bill, right? But the thing is that, and it's going to also for healthcare for millions of people that the rates would have went up for millions of people, and they wouldn't have been able to afford it, and lower the cost of prescription drugs for 100 million people. There's a lot of different things in this bill, and the funny thing is that if Republicans were proposing this bill, again, it has a lot of things. I've seen a lot of people say that if this was a different year and a different time, this could have been a bipartisan bill. But just because of the political landscape, where we're getting just a lot of bills where Republicans don't want to vote on anything. I mean, we just seen it here just a day or two ago, where Republicans withdrew their votes from the Veterans Health Bill, and only some people say, you can let me know your thoughts here, only because it was made a national issue and they were kind of caught withdrawing their votes, and at the very last moment they switched back and voted yes for it, and veterans across the country were saying, we're not going to stand for this. Did they get it passed? But we're seeing a lot of bills like this where honestly Republicans weren't going to give a single vote for this from the get-go, even before they knew what was in the bill. When the bill was $3 trillion, when it was $2 trillion, now it's less than $1 trillion. Republicans weren't going to vote for it no matter what, even before they knew what was in the bill. So this is where it's kind of like Democrats versus Republicans, Republicans versus Democrats. Now that people see what's in the bill, even some Republicans are saying, not the ones in Congress, but some Republicans that actually look through it that are reasonable are like, well, it actually has some good stuff in it. You can let me know your thoughts here. But the Republicans in Congress are not going to vote for it simply because either one, they don't want to change the tax code. They don't want to undo anything from the 2017 Trump tax cuts. Or two, they simply don't want to vote for anything that's a Democratic bill. So, and again, if you watch my show, I criticize Democrats, Nancy Pelosi all the time, Joe Biden. If criticism is there, I'll say it. When gas prices were crazy, I'll say it. So the thing here is that the problem, and even Bernie Sanders is criticizing the bill right now, saying there should be a lot more in the bill for Americans. The problem with that is they can't get the votes. There's not a single Republican that will vote for anything, and you got to get Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema to vote for everything. And the problem is that the bills had to be reduced because they had to get Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema to agree to everything. And Joe Manchin wanted a small bill because he didn't want to spend a lot. So you can let me know your thoughts here. I'll keep you up to date here. This is a process going on. We're going to have a lot of information coming out here over the next few hours and days. They could be voting on it here. I'll show you this. The Senate sets up first vote on Saturday. So I think they're going to have to go through a process of votes, but the first vote could come as early as Saturday. Remember, the reconciliation process is a process. So I'll keep you up to date here. And remember, there's about 20 different states right now that are passing stimulus checks, tax rebates, and sending out cash to their residents. I'll link you to that video here in a second. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet, and click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live here with new videos. We have new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember those times, and I'll keep you up to date here with everything you need to know about. Here's a new video about an executive order that was just signed, and here's that video about 20 states that are sending out cash to their residents. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.